Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin ti naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant, and the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado restaurant and beach club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand, right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we are going to go for a deep dive into the bay. That's right, we're going to go scuba diving with a very special lady. Her name is Leslie Hyland. She teaches scuba diving. She also takes lucky vacationers out for a 6-hour sailing adventure. And she even finds time to run a little school teaching English and music to the little children in the village of El Nogalito, where she lives. El Nogalito, located just south of Puerto Vallarta. But before we get to Leslie, let's see what's happening this week, the 19th day of October, 2021. Today in Vallarta and around the world, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Day, the day that reminds us of the importance of self-care as the best tool for early detection of breast cancer to save lives. Stop staring, guys. Now, by the way, speaking of keeping healthy, we are in fall and we're getting closer to the winter. So let's just make sure that we keep our vitamin D3 levels up so that we can defend against the Rona. Remember that Dr. Fauci takes 6,000 international units of the vitamin D3 every day. And, of course, it's part of my daily regimen as well. I also have my bags packed, and along with my vitamins and supplements, I am now ready for my 7th trip to Puerto Vallarta during the pandemic. I'm going to be flying out of Tijuana. I'm going to be crossing the border at CBX, or Cross Border Express, over in Otay Mesa, directly adjacent to the Tijuana airport. And if you haven't been following the story, I was alerted to the existence of this place by listener Fred. And Fred said that he uses it all the time when he flies out of Tijuana. And it is, what it is, it's a facility. And it's on the U.S. side of the border, as well as on the Mexican side of the border. When you just drive up on the U.S. side, you park your car. There's a daily fee for that. And then you walk into the little building, you take care of your immigration forms, all of your passport work and all that stuff is taken care of. And then you walk a 100-yard long bridge that takes you into the Tijuana airport. The cost to walk across that bridge is $16 US each way. And hey, I'm pretty stoked. I'm going to see how this all works, and I will report to you and let you know how it all went. Now, I live about 3 hours from the Mexican border in the Los Angeles area. And so my original plan was to drive to the border and then leave my car over at CBX. But my wife had something to say about that. She said, why are you going to be leaving the nice car in a parking lot for a week? Can't you figure something out? So I went online, and I actually found that CBX has a shuttle service from downtown Los Angeles and other parts of the Southland and you can hop a ride to their facility over there in Otay Mesa for $33 each way. So very cheap. I could take their bus or van or whatever it's going to be. I guess it's going to be a van. Who knows? I'll find out tomorrow morning at 4:45 in the morning. My wife's going to drop me off on a street corner somewhere in downtown Los Angeles to wait for the ride. And they say Mexico is dangerous. Anyway, this is going to be an adventure. And at least I might even get a chance to get 3 hours sleep on the bus or the van or whatever it is. So you might ask, why are you doing this? What is the benefit of doing all of this instead of flying out of LAX, Barry? Well, one thing is I'm cheap. It's only $100 round trip on a Viva Aereo bus. There's no testing for the Rona, so no stick up the nose. And hey, it's an adventure. I'm going to give it a shot. Anyway, let's see if I can get home from Tijuana. Film at 11. Now, with border crossing in mind and Rona and testing, and God, what a gigantic waste of money that is. These PCR tests, what a scam. Hold on for the next one they have planned for us. Do you know the name of the next one they have planned for us? The next one is called the Marburg virus. It will come complete with its very own fake PCR test too, so look for it soon. And while the mad scientists at the CDC and the WHO are hard at work cooking up more BS for the gullible public, here's some good news from Mexico, where their leaders seem to have their heads screwed on. Here it is from Vallarta Daily News. Mexico will not require proof of COVID-19 vaccination from Americans. Isn't that nice? Mexico will not ask for proof of immunization against COVID-19 from U.S. citizens entering the country starting in November. Sources from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have said. This is not something decided by the SRE, but by the Ministry of Health, said the source. The United States announced that travel restrictions on the border with Mexico will be eliminated as long as travelers have completed their vaccinations against COVID-19. However, it will only allow entry to people immunized with vaccines approved by the World Health Organization. Individuals who have received the Moderna, Pfizer, Janssen, and Johnson, Oxford, AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, and Sinovac doses will be allowed to travel to the U.S. However, at least 2 weeks must pass from the application of the vaccine to be able to travel. People vaccinated with the Sputnik 5 or with the CanSino will not be allowed to enter the country because they are not endorsed by the World Health Organization. We're going to ask the World Health Organization to finish giving the certificates to pharmaceutical companies around the world that have delivered vaccines, that have demonstrated their effectiveness, and that have not generated any health problems, said President Andres López Obrador in his morning lecture yesterday. Of the 260 million vaccines that have reached Mexico, 60 million are Sputnik 5 and CanSino. CanSino was used to immunize 2.7 million teachers. After the announcement, the coordinator of the National Council of Legislatures and Migrant Leaders, Jose Camarona, indicated that Mexico is not in a position to require certificates of vaccination for COVID-19. They're not going to do it. Mexico does not play at parity with the United States due to many disadvantages. In fact, Mexico would like them to come, he said. He pointed out that when opening the borders, there is a risk of contagion, so it is necessary to take preventative measures. It must be remembered that when these types of borders are opened, the lives of citizens both sides are normalized. An outbreak can occur, and there would be infections, he explained. We strongly agree that sanitary filters be used to take temperatures and to see what condition people arrive in. And I have a link to that article in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. More reasons to move to Mexico. And speaking of airports and procedures and testing and moving to Mexico, I got a great email from listener Marianne. Marianne writes, "Hi, Barry. My hubby and I found your show not long after you started it and got lots of great info leading up to our move to Puerto Vallarta this past March. Yay! We recently listened to... I added the yay. She didn't do that. We recently listened to your description of what travelers can expect when coming through the PV airport, but you forgot one detail. The health form required by the Mexican government. We're veterans of the process now, but every time we go to the airport, it's clear some folks are hearing about it for the first time. Here's what we're telling friends and family who are coming to visit us in the next few months. Feel free to share, and I am doing that. Thank you very much, Marianne. The easiest way to get through the process seems to be, 1, create a free profile online at vuelaseguro.com. That's VUELASEGURO.com. Number 2, you want to enter your flight info and COVID status 12 hours before your flight. No test is needed to enter Mexico. And then thirdly, you have to take a screenshot of the QR code that's generated after you answer all their questions. And then 4, you show that screenshot just before immigration on the way to baggage claim when entering Mexico and just before the security checkpoint when leaving Mexico. Most people will be stopping at those spots. Most people will be stopping at those spots to go online and fill it out, or maybe a paper version if available. You can walk right around them and show that QR code that you have screenshotted, and you are ready to go. That's it. Easy peasy. So keep up the great work, Marianne and Scott. So that is very, very cool, and that's a great thing to know. So I have that app on my phone, but what I didn't know was that you could actually fill it out before you get in line over at the Puerto Vallarta airport. Usually I fill out the QR code scanner, I scan it, and then I stand there just like everybody else does and fill it out. Well, what Marianne says is you can do it up to 12 hours earlier, and you have it on your phone. You can just walk right past those people and then get yourself in line. So great idea. I'll be filling mine out in the van on the way down to Tijuana tomorrow morning. So I will be all ready. I wonder how the immigration thing is going to work when I land in Puerto Vallarta, because I should have already be checked in, right? That's going to be interesting too. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, thank you very much, Marianne. Maybe we can get you and Scott to come to our meet and greet. By the way, we're going to have a meet and greet. I've decided to piggyback on top of JR's meet and greet, which he has every Tuesday over at Nacho Daddy. This one's going to be Tuesday, October 26th. We're going to start things off at 5:30. We're going to go till 7:30. And if you don't know where Nacho Daddy is, it's on Basilio Badillo 287. And it's a great place to get together, have something to drink and something to eat. And so anyway, come join us. Let's talk about what you're doing in Puerto Vallarta. And if you got a business, or if you got a charity that you want to tell us about, you want to stop in, make a pitch. Tell us why we want to go to your business, or tell us about this charity, or whatever you do in Puerto Vallarta, for goodness sake. Come on over if you can make it. If you're a listener, if you're in town, do your best to stop on by, say hello. Again, it's going to be Tuesday, October 26th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Nacho Daddy, and we'll see you there. I got a question from a listener who sent me a note on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show's Instagram page. If you haven't been there, I've got lots of pretty pictures. But if you have my Facebook page, you've probably seen all those pretty pictures. Anyway, he asks me, he says, I'm headed to Vallarta next week. Is marijuana now legal for recreational use? So here's the scoop. Oh, and if you're not interested in hippie lettuce, I know there's a bunch of you out there who kind of roll your eyes when I start talking about this stuff. Go ahead and fast forward. Reach for your little app and go ahead and hit the fast forward button a couple times. Anyway, marijuana was legalized, kind of. You kind of have to apply for a kind of a marijuana card if you want to grow your own or you want to buy your own. If you're not a citizen, I'm pretty sure you're kind of out of luck. You can't do that. I mean, it was passed, so it is legal, but you can't buy it. You got to buy it off the streets, just like you always have to do. Of course, I always suggest if you have a Puerto Vallarta friend who's on the ground and engages in that kind of behavior, have them get it for you. Give them half of it, and they'll be happy to get it for you. Now, there's a lot of talent. There's a ton of talent around the Bay, okay? Because there's a lot of people who have a lot of time on their hands, and they've learned how to take cheap weed and to convert it into all kinds of goodies, okay? There is CBD oil, there's CBD stuff that you can buy at Organic Select, I think. Then there's a couple other places around town that you can actually buy CBD products. But you got people making stuff like, THC gummies and whole flower extract cannabis oils, and with terpenes added, and brownies and honey and rosin extract and even DMT, if you know what that stuff is. There's all kinds of miscreants from all over the world who've converged on Puerto Vallarta, and they're making a veritable witch's brew of mind-blowing goodies. And soon, in the not-too-distant future, Puerto Vallarta is going to have their first ever marijuana dispensary. And I'll keep you posted and maybe even be the first customer if I can get in there and do that. I mean, think about that. What a resume booster. Come on. Of course, until then, look for the real mellow, high expats, sitting around the beach, and ask them if, they can help you find what you're looking for. So anyway, next week, I have a very special episode coming up. It is kind of a bonus episode for you guys, and it is, you're going to meet my buddy, Mappa Jeff. Now, Jeff makes amazing maps of Puerto Vallarta and Yelapa and the surrounding areas, and these maps are incredible works of art. You're going to love Mappa Jeff because he knows Puerto Vallarta, and what he does is really, really, really special. And so he's going to be a special guest for all of you. I can't wait. So let's get to our guest right now, shall we? I'm always looking for new fun things to do around Puerto Vallarta, and this guest checked a lot of boxes for me. Now, I scuba dive. And I sail. I love to sail. And I'm just a sucker with a big heart for Mexican kids. I love the Mexican kids. So our next guest was a trifecta. Leslie Hyland has been in Puerto Vallarta, lived there for 26 years, to be precise, since 1995. So she's been there a long, long time. And she was introduced to me by my good friend and friend of the show, Polly. And remember that I told you a few months back that Polly and I had a plan to introduce all of you to some incredible women who are expats who've made the move to Mexico and are doing incredible things in Mexico. And that's Leslie. So Polly gave me a lift down to El Nogalito, where Leslie was waiting for me at her little schoolhouse. She gave me a tour of the one-room facility. It's a tiny little place, little classroom with a drum set right in the middle of it, chalkboards and arts and crafts, easels. There's coloring books and guitars and even an electric keyboard there. But the building sits in what is otherwise a fairly empty lot. There's some play equipment, like some swings and a slide out front. But Leslie and I talked out in front of the little schoolhouse, while the children played around us. So you're going to hear them while we're talking during this interview. And then after the interview was over, she took off for a couple of minutes to pick up a young man. And this guy had just gotten done giving a group of older students who were, her students earlier and who had grown up. And this guy had given these older kids guitar lessons. His name is Elvis Adrian Jesus Gonzalez, and so she gave him a lift over to the little schoolhouse. And then he was teaching the little kids how to play guitar. So you'll hear Elvis. I'll mix him in during the interview. So now you'll know who he is. You'll know who the guitar teacher is when you hear him. And remember, when you get a chance, go to the show notes. You'll see all of this in person. And I'm going to make a little video in a couple of days and kind of show it too. So if you get a chance to swing back and take a look back at the blog post in a couple of days, I'll make that video while I'm in Puerto Vallarta. But anyway, I'm going to let Leslie tell you her story. And when she's done, I've got some suggestions as to how you can help the kids at her school, and how you can also, learn how to scuba dive if you'd like to take scuba lessons, or even a nice little day trip of sailing as well. So let's go right now to the little village of El Nogalito, about 15 minutes south of Puerto Vallarta, and let's meet my new friend Leslie Hyland, scuba instructor, English teacher, and sailing buddy in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. All right, Leslie, thanks for coming on the show today.
Oh, no, thank you so much. That's great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
I'm originally from the south side of Chicago in a town called Matson. It's about 45 minutes south of Chicago. And I grew up there. And then later on, I eventually, when I was about 25, I moved out to Colorado for a few months. And then I came out to Puerto Vallarta where I had stayed.
So did you have any intention to come to Puerto Vallarta to stay?
No, I had no intention.
What happened? How did that all work out?
Well, when I got off the plane, it was just beautiful. I loved the ocean and the mountains, and it was just so beautiful. And then after that week of being here, the people were wonderful, and the prices at that time were awesome, and it was just a great place to be, and I loved it. So I didn't want to go back home.
No. So how'd you work that out? Did you have some explaining to do?
Well, I did go back for a week, and I got some stuff in order, because at that time I was living with my great aunt and uncle, and I kind of made sure that they would be okay while I wasn't going. They had an accident, and so I was staying with them while they healed. And then by that time they had healed, so I had everything already packed up. Went from Chicago to Colorado, so I didn't really have much. And I wasn't really planning on staying this long, but I did want to come back. So I came back like a week later after I got things sorted out, and I came back a week later, and I had some money saved up from being like the caretakers of my great aunt and uncle for those 3 months. So when I came down and the prices were great, I just had a place to stay, and I would go every day, like 10 to 3 to the beach.
Yeah.
And then go back, and I did that for a couple of weeks, and then there was a dive shop called Paradise Divers, and he asked me if I was living here because they needed somebody in their dive shop who spoke English. So that week I went and got certified at Chico's Dive Shop. I got my certification.
Yeah.
And I went back to Calixto at that time. That was at Paradise Divers, and I started working with them. And that was pretty much it. After that, I just loved diving. And eventually, after diving, that's been a while, I got my instructors. So now I'm actually instructor, and I love it. I love diving here.
Yeah. So what is the name of the diving company that you're with?
The one I'm working with right now is called Twin Dolphins, and it's located by the marina. And so I work with them, and I also have a boat that I've been working on. It's just getting fixed. We had it for a while, and it got time to get fixed, and so now it's pretty soon going to be back in the water, and then be doing our own trips as well.
Oh yeah. All right, so you'll have your own dive boat out there then.
Yeah, I did for about 7 years, I think it was, and then had get the boat worked on. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been in dry dock.
It's been working on it, but it's and then also because of COVID, it took a while extra, time than normal, and it's been almost, at any time that it was going to be ready. So pretty soon, it's like pretty soon.
Anytime.
Yeah,
mañana.
Mañana, exactly. So, but once that is, and then I go back to having our own boat that I work with, and I've been working with Giovanni probably since 1997.
Wow. All right, where do people dive around here? What are the good spots?
Oh, well, it's actually beautiful right now. The summer is the time to go diving, and they got some beautiful. There's El Moro, Chimo, Los Arcos is one of my favorite dive sites. Mahoitas is nice, and then there's a few others, but those are the most common and most popular.
And what kind of fish are we seeing?
Oh, we see all kinds of fish. And the nice thing about being here is that we actually see warm water fish, and then we see cold water fish, and then we see the fish that like to follow the plankton. So we get to see giant mantas. We get to listen to humpback whales in the wintertime when they're here. We get to see all types of different types of rays. We have seahorses, eagle rays. We got big moray eels. We have Moorish idols. We have... even in Los Arcos, just a couple of weeks ago, we were seeing a white-tip shark. So that was very nice, seeing him around. And there's all kinds of fish, schools of fish, yellowfish, bluefish, redfish.
Yeah, it's beautiful, I'm sure.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's a whole other world. And in the wintertime, I think a lot of people don't come here as a dive destination because it gets murky and cold. But in the summertime, it's beautiful, but we don't have a lot of tourism in the summertime.
Sure.
So a lot of people miss the beauty because the water gets super clear. And then the mountain ranges underneath the water are incredible. So when you have the visibility and you can see the mountain ranges, it's just out of this world. It's just really beautiful. And then when you don't have so much visibility, we still have a lot of sea life. We have a lot of things to see, no matter where you're at. There's still, I think, is a lot of life that we have.
They say that this bay has got, is more than a mile deep.
It's definitely. We have depths in the bay that go like 18,000 feet, and even in Los Arcos, it's a drop off that goes to almost 2,000 feet just in Los Arcos.
Wow!
And then in the south part of the bay, it goes really deep, and it's very interesting bay. You can only really dive on the outside of. There's really nothing in the middle. It's so deep, and the islands is like the outside of the bay. That's like the another spot that is very awesome to go diving is the Marietta Islands. It's volcanic in nature and has swim-throughs, and I've seen a lot of sea life, throughout the years diving at the islands.
Yeah, wow. Well, that must be wonderful, and I will have links that'll take you listeners over there to
well, that would
Leslie,
be great.
right?
That would be awesome.
If you're thinking about getting certified. I mean, what is the process on the certification?
Well, the thing that it was great about Vallarta living here is that you didn't need to be certified to go diving. And I think that having people come out and for the first time take an hour class and then go diving, you get to experience it. And I think in other countries that you have to actually be certified before you go diving. So here you actually get a chance to see if you like it or experience it at least without having to get the certification.
Okay, so you start them off in a pool?
Yes, you start in a pool, and when it's really nice out, you can go directly to the ocean to a nice calm spot, and it's clear. But normally, you start out in a pool so you can stand up in case you have any issues. Some people are natural and are very comfortable with it, and they don't have any problems going almost directly to the ocean. And there's some who need a little more help and want to get to a comfort level. So going to a pool is a lot nicer because they get comfortable before they actually go and start diving.
Yeah, and they're able to understand and the very, very important things that you need to know when you first start diving.
So that's an hour class you can do and then go diving and see if you like it. And then if you do, then the certification is actually 4 days, and it's 2 days in the pool and then 2 days in the ocean, 2 boat dives with 2 tanks each day. So you go on 4 dives and do all the exercises and make sure you're confident. And then that would be the open water certification. And then you could do the advanced that follows that. And then it keeps on going. You can go up to dive master, and then after that you'd have to go away to school to become an instructor like me.
All right. So, you also, I know that there's a sailboat somewhere in your in
over
your
the years,
repertoire.
over the years of diving, I just worked with a lot of boats and worked with a lot of people and so apart from diving, we've gone sailboat rides and different, even fishing boat tours. But the funnest have been the sailboats, and what I do is I organize trips. I don't have a sailboat, but I work with somebody who does. And I get people together, because normally if you just go on your own, it's like, a lot. But if you get all your friends together or people together, it makes it more economical, and then we can get to these great spots. So that's what I kind of do, is organizing the trip so then we can all get out and see it, not just, getting it for a couple of hours.
The la-di-das out there.
Right, that everyone can go, because I think the prices are accessible to go and then enjoy and have a good time.
Yeah, so what kind of things do you have on the boat?
On the boat is awesome. It's a 42-foot sailboat. It has, we actually go across. I found a great spot that we're going to now. It takes 6 hours to get there. And it's beautiful. And you could go kayaking. They have a kayak, paddleboard. They have snorkel equipment. And we go snorkeling. It's a really nice spot over there as well. But even if there's not, there's a beach. You can get to a beach. There's fishing poles, so we can go fishing on the way there. And I love it. It's a beautiful place. We spend about an hour and a half, and then we start coming back again.
So how do people learn about when you guys are taking off and sailing?
Well, normally I post at different places. My page and on Facebook is where I first put it. And then if I don't get my friends who I know who would like to go, if I need more people, because the boats only hold 10 to 12, so it's not a lot of space.
Yeah.
So if I then need more people, then I go to like different pages and I try to put it out with and to see if other people are interested in going.
Okay.
So I do, but I try to go with my friend, on my post first there.
Right.
And then other places out there.
So if any of you are lucky enough to go, you get to hang out with some people here or Leslie's friends. And Leslie's got some cool friends, by the way. I want you to know that.
It's growing, I think that whenever you go out, you always meet more people and they have connections. So it just grows and grows. And not only do I, take organized groups, but now I also, people, they can rent a boat. So there are people who do just like to rent a boat, and I do that for them as well. And I go with them and I make sure, kind of like a hostess, making sure, where we're going and that everything is
they know what
kind
the hell they're
of,
doing.
yeah.
Nice. All right, well, we'll work on trying to figure out how we can get people that are interested to be able to find you as far as the boat goes.
Oh, that would be great.
Now, you don't live in town.
No, I live outside of town in a town called El Nogalito. It's about 15 minutes in a bus coming out in a car.
What's directly across from that road that leads into El Nogalito?
That is called Punta Negra. That is where Punta Negra condominiums and a few others. I forget their names,
okay.
But
well, that's okay. People, we just need to kind of be able to recognize where the area is.
It's about halfway between here and Mismaloya. The center or the end of town and Mismaloya is probably in the halfway mark. And it's Punta Negra Beach, and it's probably about almost a mile coming in as you come
from
in from the road, which is kind of isolated because of the fact that you need, if you don't have a car, then you have to. It's a long walk because there is no bus that comes in. No, there's no bus that comes in here, right? It's a long walk if you want to come in and. So that's why it's more isolated. If anybody wants to do anything, you have to walk all the way out. Or if you're going to buy stuff, you have to walk all the way back in. So it is harder for even the kids to get out of town because, it's just like it's far.
Right.
It's not going to, you can't ride your bike over to get there and back. So it's more kind of isolated if you don't have a vehicle.
How many people do you think are in this town?
I think that there's probably about 150 houses,
Okay. Okay.
more or less. It's growing a lot in the last couple of years.
What's there to do? What's there to do in Nogalito?
Well, there's hiking. You can hike up to waterfalls. The birds. You like bird watching. The birds out here are amazing. I think it's the hike to the waterfall is beautiful.
Yeah. How do you get to the waterfall here?
Well, you could always follow up the river, which takes a long time,
I
if
bet.
you were to follow up the river. The other probably fastest way to go is to get all the way up to where the Canopy Tour is. There was a restaurant in El Nogalito, and if you go up there, then you can take a pathway, and this path will get you a lot farther quicker than if you just, even though it would be beautiful if you had the time. I mean, taking the river it'd just take a while, but if you wanted a head start and get farther up, you would go to that area and start from there and then walk. And there's some trails.
How long of a walk is it?
If you start, let's say at the restaurant, it's a good starting point. If you start there and you walk and you hike, crawl, walk, up a slow pace, and you go up there, you can probably make it within an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most. If you're stopping and enjoying and taking pictures, you could take up to 2 hours to get there, but an hour and a half, taking a moderate, pace going up there, because it's all rocks. You have to watch your step, and depending on when you go, if it's in the water, if it's in the dry, how it is. So it all depends on the conditions. When there's less water, it's easier because you can just walk on top of rocks. And when there's more water, well, then it's a little bit more trickier because it's wet.
You got to pick and choose and be careful.
Yeah, and then you don't also want to go when it's raining because, you wouldn't want to be going hiking up in these days, right? That is unfortunate. No, you want to pick your time when you go up there, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. They have these two canyons that come together when you're walking, and it's... I've been to Australia, and I would say something similar to I would find in the outback in Australia. These two canyons that come together with this long hallway of water, about almost ankle deep, and it's so beautiful. It's really nice. And then going up there, you see a lot of birds, and there's all different types of wild birds and bluebirds, and you can see parrots, I think, even fly, the macaws, or they fly above, and you can hear them chatting away.
And so that waterfall is totally worth it.
Back in the day, you had a lot of water. It was a lot. There has been times I've gone up there. I wouldn't say I go up there too recently. I don't go up too often. But sometimes there's less water than before, but it's still nice.
Yeah.
It's still nice.
What other things? You said that there's
they have a canopy tour.
Tour.
And that is that's really nice too. They you get to see all the mountain and all the forest or the trees and the birds. They also have Tequila Tours. I think they have two of them in Nogalito. One at the entrance, Don Tadeo, which is a great tour to go to, and there's another one on the way to the
Canopy.
The El Nogalito restaurant, to the Canopy. So they have two of them, and there is another restaurant in town. It's more, I think, for tourists, because only the people who go there, I think, are just dune buggies. I think that they're the only ones who
make it out there.
Make it out there. I think they have a contract with them, so they go there to eat. And but it was a real nice restaurant. It is a real nice restaurant. It's right next to the river. It's a great location because you can eat there and then play in the water right in front, which is nice. So that's a nice place, and not too much else other than the natural beauty, just the rivers that are beautiful, and the nature.
Well, this time of year, everything is absolutely green. All right, so you live here, and we are currently sitting in the courtyard of a school, it looks like here, and it is a music school, I've been told by you. So,
well, back in the day, it was the kinder in this neighborhood, when they had a bunch of, I think, 6 kids, and a couple of years after, if the town didn't have so many children, then they just closed it because you have to have at least 6 or 7 kids going in order for them to come and bring a teacher.
Uh-huh.
So after that time, there wasn't that many children to do the kindergarten. So they just kind of, they closed it, and then, they got rid of everything. And for a couple of years, it was just abandoned. My daughter at that time going to the school, the grade school on the other end, and I started giving English classes to the kids because there's only 13, and so I started helping them out with English, but I couldn't do it at school because the teacher didn't have the time or the space or anything, so I had to find another location to try to continue with that, and so this place was abandoned, so I went and asked, and the gentleman who had the property, he liked the idea of doing something for the kids, and it was already the kinder for the kids, so he said yes and let me take care of this school since then, and so I started with teaching English and art crafts and stuff, and we were doing projects like that, but the English is just a little bit slow going because we can't practice all the time. So then over COVID, I come up with the idea of music. So it's only recently now that we switched gears to music, but after that I bought drums, and then we got guitars, and so we have a guitar teacher that comes out and helps, and then I try to get the keyboard and get more, and then start English more on a music and try to teach them with music, and hopefully that'll stick. Not just learning, but maybe stick a little bit, and I think through music is what is going to help the kids in a lot of ways, not just with English, but I think it's going to help them in all ways.
Yeah. So these kids, after school they come to practice?
Well, right now the school, because of COVID, it isn't, and we just had, like, today's Monday, we have guitar class. Got to go pick them up at 4:30.
Uh-huh.
And
La primera se llama mi. ¿Sabes leer? Sí, la primera se llama mi. La segunda se llama así, gracias. La tercera se llama sol. La cuarta se llama re. La quinta se llama la. Y la sexta se llama mi. Hoy vamos a practicar un pequeño bajeo, ¿va? Vamos a practicar un pequeño bajeo, ¿va? ¿Qué es un bajeo? Bajeo es esto, mira, ¿prestas tu guitarra? Bajeo. Cuando yo toco así todas las cuerdas, eso se llama un rasgueo. Hay rasgueos para abajo, rasgueos para arriba y para abajo. Y hay rasgueos lentos, hay rasgueos rápidos. ¿Sí? Hay diferentes tipos de rasgueos. Los rasgueos son los que hacen los ritmos. Cuando tú juntas dos rasgueos, por decir, yo lo doy todos para abajo, ¿verdad? Y luego los dos para arriba. Ahí voy haciendo ritmos, ¿no? O voy a hacer. Esos son los que hacen los ritmos. Y estos se llaman bajeos. Por decir, cuando yo digo. Vamos a hacer esto. ¿Va? ¿Sí?
Tuesdays usually have Don Gato. He's an awesome drummer. He comes out and helps on Tuesdays. That's the day for the drums. And then another day during the week, I try to come out so they can just practice, so they get a chance to practice. But as soon as we get the keyboard fixed, and then we need a couple more instruments, and then hopefully fill up the week for them. And if not, go back to, once school, which is now starting, maybe have another day of English, and a day they can come out. The rain is really hard, rainy season, because it rains so much. But during the dry season, that's when the kids can more hang out here, and they have games to come do, and they have art and craft after school usually. Well, there hasn't been school for a while, but
Right.
they can come here and draw, and they can play games. And I try to keep it, well, nice and clean for them to at least enjoy the few things they have there, like the swings, the slide, and the seesaw. So they don't have much. And so I like to try to do stuff for them because they can't get out. They can't, go anywhere. And so this is the only place they really got to hang out or do something with.
What do you guys need?
Well, supplies like arts. They love painting, coloring books. They like puzzles. They like stickers. They love drawing. So anything for having to do with drawing and stuff like that, they love that.
What about instruments?
Instruments. They love guitar. We have a few that were donated, and I'd like to have enough where they could just take them home so they can practice more. I only have a few that they can take home, but being able to have more guitars so everyone could have one. The keyboard, a working keyboard, the one we get, the cord keeps on fizzling out. So, I mean, if there was a new keyboard, would be great. And drumsticks, they're always breaking drumsticks. If you have some drumsticks,
bring some sets of drumsticks, right?
That's what the kids go through a lot.
Yeah.
And they love stickers and they love games. Yeah, that's kind of like they love drawing, art. I know they love to, even the ones that are more intricate, not just like coloring books for kids, but the older mandalas. That's what they're called, mandalas. Those are awesome. The kids love those.
Okay.
Which are a little bit more than just a basic cartoon Disney kind of, which are great for the younger kids. But we have some like 10, 11-year-olds, and that like a little bit more.
They need something more sophisticated
than that.
Something to keep their attention.
Yeah, and but they're anything. I mean, as long they'll check out anything, any toy that comes here, they check it out, and whether they can use it or not, or even they try to understand it. But they just like to have different things. Their attention span. Yeah, they use it for a while and then want something different.
Okay.
But they love balloons. Balloons keep them happy. They love learning how to. I know even airplanes. I mean, how many times they come and if you had a stack of paper, they'd ask you all day long to make airplanes,
airplane.
and toss them around. But they love painting. If it wasn't such a mess, but they love to paint. That's something everyone likes to do when they come. Is painting.
Okay. All right. So we'll get some contact information for you so that people can come and donate.
Yeah, the best thing is for them to get it, like if to go out and to buy the things and not so much in the cash donations. I think that if you actually got it, I think that takes a lot of the in-betweens of, giving people cash to go do stuff with. And I think it's just better to go and get the stuff because, crayons and, you're not really going to be, I think it's better, I think, to bring the stuff or get the stuff and then just give it rather than money if that's possible.
Yeah, no, that's actually I think that's preferred.
Yeah, I like it that way
it's
better.
fun to go out and shop for people, So how would they get that to you? We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
We'll let people know exactly how to do that. In fact, if you wanted to, you could always contact me. Send me an email and ask me to get a hold of Leslie, and I will make sure that you get whatever you bring right into their hands.
And even if you can, help teaching, if you're a teacher out there that teaches music, if we have a drummer and we have a guitar, but if you have a keyboard or even the drum, if you know how to play drums, because sometimes the drummer, he goes on tour, or not tour, but he goes and plays and he's not able to come. But if you're here and you can help, I think that, come a different day even. or keyboard.
Yeah.
Or
So you musicians there.
musicians, if there's any musicians, even singing, I think maybe even the kids. I know Brianna loves to sing, and the kids, So if there's people who just like to come and donate their time, to come and come with the kids and, during set up a day, if it's keyboard. I'll get that keyboard fixed right away.
Right. We'll get you somebody to get you a keyboard.
Or, to have someone come. But organizing it is hard, too, because, I'm working. So, has to give the keys so that people can... And then it's hard to get people to come out this way because it's the road,
Yeah, it's kind of out of the way, But
it's so close, but yet so far.
It is. It's amazing, when you drive into this community. If you've never been in Nogalito, you just got to make the turn and go in and just check it out. I mean, if only just to drive through the town, but it's beautiful, green, and it's just a sweet place.
And the kids are awesome.
Yeah,
they're full of life and they're happy. They're not on their cell phone. Do you notice if they're here, they're actually playing? They're not on their phones because there's no signal.
There's a reason.
There's a reason, which is awesome out here because they don't have a signal. And so that's one thing too that that's good to give them stuff to do because it's they want to do stuff and they want to be able to create and just need a little opportunity because of stuff for them, and they draw wonderful. Carlos has some great photos he's drawn that I'm amazed that he's when he was drawing them he was like 7 years old, and I knew he was talented with drawing.
Yeah.
And so we just keep him drawing, and I think it helps him, distress, when they're in the class. I think they really enjoy drawing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's leave El Nogalito for just a minute. Let's go over into town. Let's ask you just a couple questions about what your favorite places to eat are, because that's what everybody wants to know. They all travel on their stomachs, and so they want to know, what people who live here actually eat.
That's one thing wonderful is that there's so many choices. It's unbelievable. When you go someplace, they have a lot of choices, but yeah, there's still some of the old relics that are, that are good to go to or been there a long time. And, you go, it's going to be, nice and have a good meal. But there's just so many to choose from.
Yeah. How about a breakfast place? Do you like?
Well, I just remember back in the day always going to El Tucan, and I just remember them having really good breakfast, and it's a nice area. They had a nice courtyard, and brings back memories whenever I do go there. So I think a little bit of nostalgia when I go to El Tucan. But I do like, I think another on the water, like Cuatasicuetes. I think, enjoying with the view. Great coffee and the view, and you're right there in the pier. You always got action watching, and so I do like having breakfast there in that area.
What about dinner? You got a favorite dinner spot?
Dinner, I like Nacho Daddies. They have entertainment. They got a great bar. They got good food as well. And my other favorite place was at Devil's Bar. They had this great pizza, but they're not there. But they still have on the Malecon. They have great drinks, and I like going there and watching. They had a great view as well.
Yeah, great people watching
and
spot.
I think they're having some food now with because of the COVID, and they had some really good sandwiches, really good as well. So, other places. El Patron in the stadium I went there recently, and I enjoyed that. They had some really good seafood that I had, and it was across the street from the stadium, and it was good prices, and I like that as well. There's so many. I mean, I definitely probably could go on and on and on and on and on.
Right.
There's so many.
Only 900 or so of them. So,
yeah, there's so many.
They're all there. I don't know.
There are so many. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Great places to go.
If you had just one place where you would be able to take someone to, you didn't have enough time to, give them the whole tour of the whole place. But just if you were going to take them to one place and say, this is Vallarta, where would you take them?
Well, I think I would probably take them to one of the highest restaurants, and even though maybe the drinks aren't as good as somewhere else, but the view to see all of Vallarta one direction and then go up, and they have another patio, and to see it up to, it's called Las Carmelitas, and it's really high up. It's a adventure just to get there.
Yeah.
But once you do, you can really see the beauty, I think. And if you go right before the sunset, and then you're up there on a day you have some visibility, of course, and you can see watching the sunset from up there and having the lights turn on into different places and how the city come to life underneath you. I would go there, because that's like having the eagle eye. You're watching up from the top how the town is. It's not that big, and it's and with the lights, it gets really beautiful. And then you can see where you'd like to go. So if you only had one shot at it, I think I would probably do that. I would go to Las Carmelitas.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I like it there.
What's the best view? What is the best view? Is that the best view of Vallarta, you think?
Well, I think just because it's the highest. I mean, if you look from the ocean in and you look at all the places, it's definitely way up there. And there's nothing really that matches the height that's of a restaurant that you can go to. So I definitely think it's got the best view because you can see farther, and you can see not only one direction, but go up the top and see, like, it seems like you can see the Guadalajara, but I'm sure that's not that far. But it seems like you can see as far as
you could probably see all the way to San Sebastian, though.
Right. I think it's really beautiful up there, and I like the going up there. There's not that many people, and you gotta it's a nice trail that they had to go up there. It's a hike. I would never walk it myself.
No, you got to get a car.
It's like 1,600 meters up. I think the sign. I used to pass the sign every day, and I think it's 1,600 meters up.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a climb.
It is up there.
Yeah, and you don't want to go in the rainy season because that's kind of scary.
I'll bet. Yeah.
But the dry season, I would definitely like to go.
Las Carmelitas.
Yeah, Las Carmelitas is nice.
Nice. Of course, talking about views and vistas of Puerto Vallarta, there really is no better way to see Vallarta than from the ocean.
Well, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think that, anywhere you go, when you look at it from the ocean part, from the water looking in, you get a different perspective. And looking at the mountains, I love mountains, and I think looking at that, you don't really get a chance to see it when you're here, but when you're from the water looking in, I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah. El Nogalito. Why you live here?
Well, I love nature, and back in the day, it was didn't seem that far, from town, and I liked having space. I liked that it wasn't right on top of each other. When we were living here, there was moving room. I didn't have neighbors back then that were close, and it just felt it was wonderful to come out here after working and just to sit and have a couple of beers at Chano's restaurant, and it was just great to be out here. It was really hard to go into town sometimes when you have everything you need. You really don't want to go in. If I could stay out here, I wouldn't even go into town. But
really,
that's not realistic. I do have to go in, but it's. I just don't want to go back to town after being out here. I really didn't like it.
Excellent. Wow. Well, you know what looks like they really like you, and so these kids, I think they really need you. And I think it's fantastic what you're doing with the music. All right, so we will make sure that we get all that information out with all of our listeners. And, of course, you'll have to go to the website, www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. I'll have all the links there. Again, if you want to be able to bring things down to El Nogalito, you just send me an email, of course, to pvtravelshow@gmail.com or puertovallartatravelshow@gmail.com. Either one will work, and just put in the subject line El Nogalito, and I'll make sure that information gets out.
I so appreciate it. Everyone here would appreciate it, but thank you so much. I really for the opportunity to be sitting across from you and to talk with you is really nice.
Well, I think that when people get to know you, they're going to be very, very happy to have that opportunity to have that same. So remember that we have the scuba diving, right? We have the sailing, and we have this beautiful music studio, art studio right in El Nogalito.
And what I plan to do, because before we had food that we were doing, I have a stove and I have a refrigerator, and the kids before we were doing classes, cooking classes, making muffins and cookies and stuff like that, learning English. And as soon as we get going and COVID is more under control, that we can move around a little bit more, we're going to offer people to come over here, and we can have coffee and some muffins while you can listen to the kids play music, or you can just interact with them if you had kids. English, they could, interact, but we're going to get some tables, and we got coffee cups, and we got coffee makers, and we got the kids going to be making, or I'll be making them so you can come and try them and hang out with the kids. But we make muffins and cookies and stuff like that to go with the coffee, and hopefully later on we'll have something where the music and people can come to check it out right here.
Yeah.
That's in the works.
Okay, good. All right. Well, as that happens, you'll be in touch with me, right?
That'd be awesome. You can come back anytime.
And just let me know, and I'll make sure that the listeners know too, so that they know what's going on.
Thank you so much, Barry. That's wonderful.
Is there anything that I've forgotten? Is there something that you want to add before we say goodbye today?
Anytime that you want to talk, I'd be more than happy to, talk with you, because I think the list is endless. We could sit and talk about everything for hours, because it's just a short amount of time. So if there's any questions that you'd ever want to ask, I'd love to come back and talk with you. And if you have want to ask me more questions about, about Vallarta, I've been here since 1995 is when I came. So it has been a while. And so I do know the town pretty well, and where to get things, and areas. If you ever had any interest in knowing things, I'd be more than happy to come and explain anything you wanted.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interview you and to find out so much more about El Nogalito.
It's a great place. It's really nice. We're going to get, it lacks a few things like public bathrooms for the people who come. And so they're going to try to get more facilities for the people to have out here, because that's a few things that the town does lack is, if you need to go to the bathroom, if you're at the river, where would you go?
Right, yeah, it's like a knock on someone's door. Hey,
yeah.
Excuse me. Hey.
So they're going to work on public bathrooms for that, and I think in the near future, so they can support more people coming to Nogalito and enjoying it, and having a place. If you have your necessities to go, you're going to have a place to go. So we're working on that.
Excellent.
On that part.
Yay. All right. Well, we all need that now, don't we? We all have to go to the bathroom once in a while. So it's very, very important.
And hopefully not in a river.
Right. Not in a river, please. Please.
Yeah, thank you.
So, again, all right, Leslie, thanks for coming on the show today. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to introduce you and the scuba diving and the sailing and all of this music and happy kids. To my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. Leslie has a heart of gold for these children. When I first sat down with Leslie out in front of the little schoolhouse, what I normally do before I do an interview is I briefly talk about the questions that I'm going to be asking. So it's not going to be a big total surprise when we get into the interview. And while she was talking about these beautiful children that she teaches, she became very emotional, almost to the point where I was a little bit worried that we might not even be able to do the interview. But happily, she pulled it together and gave me a terrific interview. Now, I can tell that she loves these kids with all her heart. So I want you all to remember that when you come to Puerto Vallarta, if you can bring a toy or arts and crafts supplies or even a musical instrument. I mean, if you have a guitar sitting around the house, maybe you want to bring it for them. And if you live in Puerto Vallarta, and if you can donate some of your time to teach these kids to play an instrument or teach them English, then you are going to be giving them the tools to learn a possible vocation, even English through song. So it would be a wonderful thing to maybe think about if you live in Puerto Vallarta. Anyway, email me with your donations. We'll get them over to Leslie, and Leslie, of course, will get them into her little classroom and to the kids in El Nogalito. And if you want to learn how to scuba dive, I've got links that'll get you right in the water. If you're interested in sailing, I can hook you up as well. So don't be afraid. Send me an email, and we will hook you all up and help these kids and help Leslie out too. All right. Well, hey, that should do it for this week. Next week, stay tuned for Mappa Jeff. More on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We'll have that too, along with Mappa Jeff. We're going to have travel tips. We're going to have great restaurant excursion ideas and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. And I have links to all of those in the show notes. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe wherever you listen to this show. That way we can get word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to go there, have a look. I've got links to the places we talk about, interesting pictures and more, all right there in my blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show that I create. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Well, thank you to Leslie Hyland, your scuba instructor in paradise. I have contact information in the show notes. Of course, you can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And don't forget Leslie and her kids and her English teaching class and teaching English through song in El Nogalito. You can help them for sure. Make sure you email me for details. Find me over at pvtravelshow@gmail.com. And thank you to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Solo camino interno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta.